On July 23, 2026, the Defense Casualty Analysis System, the military's official public tracker for troop fatalities, updated its records for the ongoing conflict in Iran. Under the heading for Operation Epic Fury, the official death toll stood at 18 American service members. But by the very next morning, that tracker had changed. Without a formal announcement, the number of fatalities abruptly rolled back to 14. Overnight, 4 deceased American soldiers had been removed from the public record. The Pentagon's acting press secretary, Joel Valdez, offered an explanation for the missing names. He attributed the change to temporary data disruptions and site anomalies on the database servers. This reversal happened despite the Pentagon naming those same 4 soldiers in a press release issued just 24 hours earlier. The removal was a deliberate bureaucratic decision to detach these specific combat deaths from the official record of the war. Back in April, President Trump had formally declared a ceasefire, assuring the public that hostilities with Iran were contained. Heading into the summer months, Washington worked to maintain the political illusion that this agreement was still holding. On the ground, the reality of Operation Epic Fury told a different story. The conflict began in late February with coordinated U.S. and Israeli airstrikes, targeting military facilities, nuclear sites, and killing Iran's supreme leader, Ali Khamenei. By July, the United States had reinstated a total naval blockade on Iranian ports. This operation forced commercial traffic to reroute, creating massive physical disruptions and choking off one of the world's most vital shipping lanes. This chart shows the severe economic fallout of the conflict. Brent crude prices surged to a peak of $118.35 in March, and by late July, volatility in the Gulf was driving prices toward another $100 spike. For the administration, admitting these new casualties meant admitting the war had never stopped. They needed the public to believe the peace was holding, even as missiles continued to fly and global oil markets remained in crisis. The White House was fully aware that the Iranian threat remained active. On July 8, 2026, the Turkish capital of Ankara hosted world leaders for a high-stakes NATO summit. President Trump arrived at that summit aboard a brand-new luxury Boeing 747-8, gifted to the United States by the Qatari government. The $400 million aircraft had only recently been retrofitted for presidential use. During the summit, intelligence suggested that Iranian proxy forces were actively targeting the president's specific flight path. The threat was considered credible, enough to trigger an immediate operational change. The Secret Service abandoned the new luxury jet in Turkey. They swapped the president to an older Air Force One aircraft equipped with more advanced defensive systems for his departure to the United Kingdom. The president was quietly protected from the reality of the broken ceasefire through a rapid, high-stakes aircraft swap. Meanwhile, U.S. troops on the ground were left at their outposts, exposed to the exact same proxy forces. In late July, those exposed troops faced the consequences of the renewed fighting. An Iranian ballistic missile strike hit the barracks at the Muwafaq Salti Air Base in Jordan, resulting in 3 American fatalities. A 4th soldier was killed during the same period in northern Iraq. He died during the controlled demolition of a downed Iranian one-way attack drone at Erbil Air Base. The fallen were First Lieutenant Tyler James Feehan, Sergeant Angel S. Rampersad, Private Isabella Gonzalez, and Sergeant Michael Emmanuel Swinton. These were the names erased from the official database. The Pentagon applied a bureaucratic loophole to justify the change. Because these 4 died after the president's April ceasefire declaration, they were reclassified as non-Epic Fury casualties, despite the war being in full swing. This legalistic maneuvering allowed the administration to technically report a lower death toll for the war. They used the fiction of a holding ceasefire to scrub combat deaths from the primary public record. The digital erasure of these soldiers prompted immediate political backlash in Washington. When investigative reporting exposed the loophole, lawmakers demanded to know why the data was being manipulated. Senator Elizabeth Warren launched a new investigation into the Pentagon's reporting. She accused defense officials of failing to protect troops and then attempting to hide the human cost when those failures turned fatal. Senator Mark Kelly and other members of the Armed Services Committee spearheaded the demand for a full, accurate accounting of all service members killed or wounded since the start of the conflict. The Senate investigation uncovered a more troubling detail. Leadership at the Pentagon, including Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth, had previously denied requests from these specific units for additional drone defenses and evacuations. Manipulating the database supported the political narrative of a successful ceasefire, but it also helped hide a catastrophic leadership failure. If these combat deaths were admitted to the official record, the Pentagon would have to explain why the troops were left vulnerable. When the government fudges its own numbers, it prevents Congress from conducting oversight and blinds the public to the true nature of the conflict. It turns a human tragedy into a manageable statistic. These numbers represent a grim physical reality far removed from the halls of Washington. For those deployed on these rocky hillsides, the war never paused and the danger never faded. For the families of the fallen, this erasure is a final indignity. Their sacrifices are diminished when the official narrative of the war is edited to suit political convenience. Politicians can declare premature victories, and governments can manipulate their databases. But the ultimate cost of war is paid in lives, and those lives cannot be deleted from history.